Welcome, Alena Huberova.
Well, thank you for having me here.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
The sun is shining. I'm always
Yeah.
good when the sun is shining.
It's early morning here. I'm really happy about it because it's been so warm lately.
Mm.
And this room gets like a microwave in the afternoon.
Oh my God, does it get even worse?
Yes, much worse. But you were in the gym, or you were doing some activity in the morning already?
No, I didn't manage to go to the gym, We scheduled this far too early. No, I did a bit of yoga. I did a bit of meditation to just get myself in the right mode.
And what do you do? I mean, do you do that often? Like,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I've been a meditator for a long time. So meditation is part of my daily routine and exercises as well. So I either do yoga at home or I go to the gym. Yeah, I just love having enough time for myself in the morning before jumping into my work duties. It just puts me in the right mode, in the right frame of mind. I like that.
And when do you wake up then?
I typically wake up around 6.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sometimes even earlier.
And what's the right mode? Like does it calm you or energize you or?
Yeah, both.
Uh-huh.
Both. I just want to feel grounded. It really depends on what I do during the day. Yeah. Sometimes I do very deep focused work, and so I want to feel grounded. And I want to have the ability to sit in front of my PC and really focus. When I do a lot of research, when I try to think creatively. Yeah, can you see that almost says I'm failing. No, but so it really depends. So the meditation definitely calms me down. And the exercise, it puts me in a just positive, fresh, renewed frame of mind. And I like that.
And this is a habit you've had for a long time, or?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. I've been meditating for the past, let's say, 12 years. But at the beginning, it was kind of on and off. But the past 3 years, meditation is really a part of my daily routine. I meditate in the morning and at night before going to sleep. I love it.
Because I often thought about this meditation because a lot of people have told me that I'm very kind of neurotic, that I'm always, and I'm always doing something, and I always have some project or that have something in my mind. Oh, I need to check this or I need to do that. And it's somehow just who I think I've always been. And then, I don't know, at some point, some years ago, I started looking into meditation. And my biggest fear was that I would stop being me somehow, that I would lose something, so will I wake up in some Zen mode and I won't get anything done,
But why? Why would you stop being you?
I don't know.
I think on the contrary.
Yeah, but I think that's can you fix the microphone a little bit lower? Just, pull it down a little bit. But that's, So
like
I think
that?
a little bit, it can be a little bit lower even. But I think with meditation that for me, it's I don't know, the perception from the outside is that everyone is super calm and they're so super harmonious, and I'm not sure I want to be like that. I want to be chaotic. I want to be wild. I told you before we started recording, I just wanted to be a rock star, and they're not doing some meditation. They're doing medication.
You know what? That is not true. I think I told you before we started, I went to the concert of Imagine Dragons, and I love them so much. And I was just hearing an interview with the lead singer. And of course, they do a lot of rock, right? You know their music, no? I mean, okay,
I checked them out because I knew that they were here, yeah.
Yes.
It's not super heavy, but yeah.
It's not heavy rock.
But they're playing for 70,000 people for some reason. They've done something right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these guys do stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember I was backstage with Iron Maiden, the band Iron Maiden, I don't know, like 15 years ago or something, because I knew the singer of the band.
Yes.
And I was like, I started drinking at home and I was like ready, okay, I'm going to go and party with these rock stars, they've been my idols since I was like 10 or 12 or something. And then I came and they were just doing breathing exercises and drinking green tea like somebody, and and super calm. And I was like, what the fuck, big guys, be rock stars. And I was trying to tell them, let's go and party. And they're, no, we're hurrying home because, I just bought a new car and I'm super excited to try it. And it was such a disappointment for me because, of course I had always thought about, like, if I was in a band, I could just party all the time. And these guys, I guess they were just over it. And you can't do this. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do your job if you would go and drink every night and use drugs, right?
Oh God, no.
No
way.
And that brings me to what are you?
What is me? That's interesting. I could answer that many, many different ways. But I guess you're pointing to the professional, right?
Yeah, we'll do the personal later.
We do the personal, right? Right. So when people ask me what I do, I say that I am a bit of a hybrid in between a coach, mentor, and guide for women in management. Mm-hmm. So I have this program for female executives. It's a holistic leadership program helping women to discover who they are, to tap into or identify their inner strength and develop their leadership potential so that they can be absolutely awesome managers for the people around them. Yes. So that is what I do.
And why female only?
Why women only? Well, it has to do with my personal history as well, which I guess we will get to. But I had the feeling that when I started doing this, I've been doing it since 2018. I went through a certain experience myself, and it brought me to a huge crisis. And through that crisis, when I looked around at my friends, at my colleagues, who were all highly positioned women in the society. I mean, well, in companies, let's say they were VPs, presidents, founders of companies, and I thought, we need help in certain aspects. So I kind of, at that moment, I realized that we women need help with developing ourselves so that we can be successful not only at the workplace, but also as human beings, as women, as people who have lives beyond work. Yeah. And of course, then there in many companies, women still struggle to get the recognition which they want. And I wanted to help with that.
What did you need help with? I mean, what you hit some wall or something, or were you a career woman then yourself before? You know what I mean? Were you one of those women that you were describing now?
Yes. Now I don't know whether you want me to go to the history of why I started doing this.
You go wherever you feel you need to take me.
Yes,
I'm tagging along here.
Right. Well, before I started my program, I have a corporate background. Okay, so I've worked in many different work environments, mostly on the international scenes. I lived in 5 different countries in Europe and in Asia. And my last corporate job was in this huge multinational, and I was working in sales, marketing, communication, and it was a job of some responsibility. And it was about 12 years ago that I quit the job. And, there's been some things that led to it. But then I started my own business. And I did many different things, many different activities. I'm a very passionate person, so I always had passion projects. I remember my first project was I'm all into well-being and, natural health. And because I had my corporate background in marketing and communication, and I thought, well, hang on, there are so many professionals out there who do amazing things for people.
But don't communicate
Yeah,
properly.
but they don't know exactly. They don't know how to sell themselves, how to sell what they do, how to sell the value that they can provide to the people. And I thought, well, I know how to do that. I can help them. So my first business project was I established, without knowing anything about it, honestly, I established a health portal, and it was like a window for these professionals to promote themselves. So I had shiatsu, natural path, Chinese medicine doctors, physiotherapy. I mean, I had all these kind of professions that promoted themselves through my portal.
Bunch of shamans.
Sorry?
Bunch of shamans.
Shamans, not I don't remember having any shaman. So yes, I wanted to utilize what I knew from the corporate world, and I wanted to share it with people who didn't know how to do that. So that led me to that led me to many, many other things through which I was really working on my own ability to influence others, to communicate my message to others. I was in multi-level marketing businesses where I learned a lot about influence, about selling, about communication. Then I jumped into public speaking that led me to become a business pitch coach for company founders. You know what it is? It's like when you have a startup, they typically need a lot of money in order to start their business project, right? So I was helping them to communicate the essence of their projects in pitching competitions or in front of investors in order to get the money that they needed. So I really developed this ability to help people get people's buy-in.
Yeah, to extract from people the essence of what they had or what they were capable of, but to wrap it into a message that other people would understand.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is very often a problem because, I mean, like you said earlier, there are so many talented people out there that have some expertise, but they don't have the expertise of communicating it or wrapping it in, or, I don't know, marketing it or branding it or, what's the value proposition here? What's the unique selling point? What do I solve for you,
Absolutely. I mean, I consider myself such a fortunate person because I work with people like that. Yeah, as a bit something that I do in parallel to the SHELeads program. I work precisely with these people. I work with a lot of engineers. I work with a lot of people from the academia, and I see them as these people with huge heads full of amazing ideas that can change the world.
Yeah.
It's just that because they have this specific skill set, they are usually not trained to convey their information, to convey their ideas in a way that other people will understand it and other people will buy into it. So I started to do that, again, utilizing what I know, my own skill set in order to help others. So I was working with the company founders for many years, and guess what? They were all men. Yeah, and I really resonated with people in that environment because I have a very strong masculine side. I really resonate with that energy, and I absolutely loved it. So I would utilize my skill set to help these people to basically communicate their ideas. And then I had a bit of a personal crisis, one of many. Yeah, and that happened before I started the SHELeads program. At that time, I've been out of the corporate environment for maybe 8 years. And let's say that, I was, I don't know how to, I have when I look back at it, you know what it is to run a business, right? So you need a certain skill set. You're constantly making stuff happen. You're constantly in the energy of doing, planning, rationalizing, making stuff happen, getting people on board on your project. So I was in that energy all the time for 8 years. And that became kind of my default energy. This is an energy that is typically associated to the masculine side of us. Yeah, I have it, you have it, everyone has got it, right? So that is all absolutely amazing when you want to run a business. But in a personal relationship, for a woman, that's not that amazing. And at that time, I was going out with someone and I thought, oh my God, this is the man of my life. And guess what? It finished unexpectedly. And I was totally destroyed. And I am very self-reflective. And I thought, well, you know, why? What is my what is my contribution to this? And I happened to discover the person that my then boyfriend went back to. I think, you know, he was still kind of in parallel seeing someone, and I knew her name, and so I checked her social media, of course, and she was this beautiful, beautiful human being. I mean, honestly, if I was a guy. And she was this representation of that feminine for me. And, you know, I really believe that life gives us lessons, right? If we are open to them. And I think that is exactly what I needed at that stage of my life.
It was like a wake-up call.
It was like a wake-up call because I am a very driven and ambitious and fairly competitive person by nature. I am an Aries, right? And I always employed that in my corporate life. And then in my business, oh my God, I have toughened up so much. And also because I was surrounded by men, you know, I was constantly cultivating the masculine side of me. And I have totally abandoned the feminine part of me. I didn't have a good relationship with the inner woman inside of me. Okay, results. Well, you know, my personal relationship have crumbled, but it's not only that. You know, there is something that happens to a woman who is constantly only in her masculine. You kind of stop having fun. You stop engaging in that joy of living. You stop flowing. And this is exactly what happened to me. And so that was a huge wake-up call. And I suddenly had the urge to surround myself by the feminine energy. Because not only I had male clients, most of my friends, they were men. And I didn't really need women, because women, you know, to go for coffees and do nothing and gossip, that's not for me. Yeah, I was always in the action, in the doing, in the planning, in the rationalizing.
But but in the personal life also, in like, you know, or a private life, how?
In the personal life also, I was bit on the action side, and I found it difficult to come down, to just be.
Yeah, but how? What do you mean? Like I don't know, when you wanted to be out biking or hiking or rock climbing. I mean,
yes, like the action woman. And, you know, part of that feminine side of us is also that ability to be sensual, sexual, to slow down, to feel, to flow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
totally,
the opposite.
Yeah, totally,
yeah, that's the opposite of the masculine. And of course, I have it inside of me. It's just that because of my conditioning as a little person, and also because of my professional and personal history, I have never really developed that side of me. and I have suffered significantly as a result. And that was a major wake-up call. And when I looked around me when that happened to me, and I saw the few female friends that I had, they all had what would appear amazing lives. You know, you see that woman and you think, oh my God, she's got it all. Look, she's the president, she is the founder, she is this and that. But you know what? All of us, and I can say this because I know these women intimately, we would close the door of the office and come back to an empty place. We were all divorced. We had troubles connecting with, men, because men would probably find us a bit too scary, too much, too intense. I don't know if you can.
No, I think then there are other men that find this intriguing.
Yeah.
Because maybe they can help them finding those moments where they can be a woman.
Yeah.
To free them from that role,
if you allow them to.
As a man.
As a woman.
Yeah,
if
woman,
the woman allows that. And
Yeah.
that is the problem, because sometimes, you don't want to let the guard down. You don't want anyone to kind of control you. Yeah. So it was a big wake-up call, and I realized this about myself. And I had this urge to surround myself by women. And it's so funny because at the time, I got a request from a company. Alena, can you, because at that time I was already, not only training the startups, but I was also training in corporations, but again, mostly men. And I received a request from a company to do a training. I don't remember what the training was about. But when I arrived to deliver the training, there were only women. Never, ever, ever has that happened to me. And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And I felt so good suddenly in that energy. And we had a lot of discussion with these women about their challenges in the workplace. And, they all had this story of, Alena, I work primarily in a male-dominated environment, and it's very difficult for me. I know that I have a lot of talents, I have a lot of capabilities, but it seems to me that the people don't see it. And they don't want to give me the chance. They don't want to give me the opportunity. Blah, blah, blah. I feel unheard. I feel unseen. So I heard that as a common challenge that they were.
You saw the trend.
Yes, I saw the trend, and I thought, well, this is definitely something that I can help you with. Yeah. So there was one challenge, but also I saw many women who've been very much focused on their careers. They also had this issue of not having a good relationship with their female side, because they always considered it as weak, and they didn't want to show it at the workplace, and that's a huge shame. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I now that I'm listening to you, I think it's in some way a self-inflicted wound, because we've made the stereotype of this superwoman, that has a business or runs a business or is successful somehow professionally, and then she also climbs glaciers and jumps from airplanes and runs marathons and eats healthy and does meditation and yoga and you know what I mean, and has everything under control, and then you imagine that her calendar looks super organized and her day is super, and then she has a perfect family as well, and there's a picture of her with a dog, and I don't know, I think we created this unrealistic idea, and then it's enforced, and because in reality we all have our shit, we all have our weak moments, we all have moments where we think, oh Jesus Christ, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. Am I good enough, or is someone better than me, or whatever? Everybody goes through this, but somehow I think it comes with this gender equality feminism rise. We kind of took it to a point where we are making really, really unrealistic and unfair expectations of women from this stereotype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I think that is true. And also the women, they have unrealistic expectations of themselves. And there is also this myth that says we can have it all.
Mm.
And many women strive to have it all. But unfortunately, that leads to a lot of frustration. I personally don't think that we can have it all. We can have what we most desire, but we can't have it all. Yeah. So,
but I think people need to kind of stop and smell the roses in some way. I mean, like if I look at my life right now, I'm not a woman, but and we are wired a little bit differently, men and women. But I don't know. I've built some sort of a rhythm of life. You know, like I take my dog to the park in the morning, and then I have my coffee, and of course I could be sitting here thinking, I wish I had a bigger house or something like that, and to be striving towards that goal. But then I would lose those other moments. You know what I mean? That would be my trade-in. I don't know, if I wanted to become a billionaire, then I would have to work harder, or I would have to spend more time on business. I couldn't do a podcast. I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be going to see Guns N' Roses tomorrow because I would be busy talking to investors or whatever.
yes.
So, and I think that we, this trade-off that we are actually making by sacrificing the pleasure of the day for some greater future, we need to find that balance.
Absolutely.
And it's hard when you have in front of you like all these fake social media photos. You have all this stuff that is telling you that somebody else who you look at is the same age as they have a perfect life. I need to work harder. But no, they just had the perfect photo at that particular moment.
Yes.
They might have gone in and beat each other up, the husband and the wife, or or the, I don't know, or whatever, or the kid drowned in the pool 5 minutes later. Who knows,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really look at social media that much, and I don't trust what I see. Because everyone is trying to showcase the bright side of their life, right?
Yeah.
No one is going to talk about their own shit and struggles. So, well, anyway, just going back to what I was saying, I, as a result of my own personal struggles with that female side of mine, and also as a result of what I have seen women struggling at the workplace, those women who do want to build their career. Yeah, not everyone wants that, and that is perfectly fine. But those women who really want to make it, who do have ambitions to get into senior management or top management, but they do find challenges in how to navigate that male environment and how to get the recognition, how to build the natural influence in order to make it. I could really see myself in helping them, because of everything that I knew, and I'm kind of a never-ending student of life. I've been training myself a lot, so I connected to where I was at that particular moment in time, and the need that I saw, and I put up a first group. That was the first SHELeads test, in which I put together a training for women to basically tap into their potential, develop the potential, but also not only develop all of the key leadership skills that they need in order to succeed at the workplace, but to also have a look at their life and start thinking, okay, what do I want in life? What kind of life would I find fulfilling? Because the problem for a lot of the senior people is they start to focus so much on their career that they forget about the rest. So that's why I think of my program as something holistic, because I don't only focus on the professional, but I really focus on the personal. What kind of life do you want to live? And also, who are you? What is your personal story? How did you come to be the way you are? And how can we help you to get to know yourself in order for you to have healthy self-confidence? This is something that is lacking in many managers. Maybe, you have observed it yourself. People who are in leadership positions and they're trying to lead other people, many of them, they lack self-awareness. They've never had that introspection. They have never done enough work on themselves. And as a result, they're not being very good in managing other people. Yeah.
But part of that problem, I think, comes from what you were saying earlier also, like about the experts that you were helping. Like, we have all these clever people with all these ideas and skills and stuff, and they're not really great at communicating it. And now, as you mentioned this with leadership, I mean, I think, like partially leadership is something that you have in you as a person, but a big part of it also to have the confidence to kind of look at yourself and what are your, weaknesses and admit them, and be honest about it. But we don't learn this in school, so we might educate, as you mentioned, like an engineer, let's say this brilliant engineer, we educate them for 5 to 7 years and we give them a doctor, what's it called, doctorate, isn't? Yeah. But we don't tell them anything about how to promote themselves or how to take their ideas into reality. And this is the same with leadership. We don't really learn leadership.
No, we don't. And I agree with you. There are certain things that rely on the temperament. Yeah. So certain personality types, they are more inclined, maybe that's not the right word.
Yeah, or better suited.
Better suited, yes. But vast majority of it can be learned. Can be learned. These are skills and abilities that can be learned. Also, when it comes to personality, I mean, our personality is not set in stone.
No, it evolves.
It evolves, yeah. It evolves with our personal, professional experiences. So absolutely, you can develop a lot of leadership abilities. But for me, it all starts, the foundation of it all is you. And that is what I really focus on in my program. Before we dive into any of the communication skills, conflict management, public speaking, influence, etc., which are all key in leadership, my mission is to help the woman discover who she is, discover herself both from the good side, all her talents, natural abilities, all the strength that she can lean into, because many people have no idea.
No.
Yeah. When you ask them, hey, so what is it you dislike in yourself? What is it you would change? They will never stop talking. But when you ask them, so what do you really appreciate? What is good about you? What traits do you really like? They have really difficult to find time to express that, right? So I help women to discover this in themselves, and that's fun. And many of them get, pleasant surprises. They get a lot of insights. So we start with the fun part, but then we turn the coin. Because if she wants to have healthy self-confidence, she not only needs to know what she can lean on in terms of her strength, but she needs to get to know her dark side. I always like to think, I almost like to think about it as the beauty and the beast in us. Yeah, none of us is perfect, and we should never strive.
What's your dark side?
I have many darks.
Yeah, bring them on. I'll dim the lights, and we're gonna go into the creepy part.
I mean, I know that you wanted to ask me some questions about my childhood, and that will clearly show you what I have struggled with.
Tell me.
So You want to know it?
Yeah, I want to know it.
Oh my goodness.
That's why we're here.
So
We want to know everything about Alena.
the dark side. I have struggled with this for such a long time, Almar. Not only I was a perfectionist, and there is always a reason for that or that tendency in you. Yeah, so you need to discover why is it that you have these perfectionist tendencies. But I was the perfect people pleaser. Wow, that person who would always try to mold herself in order to satisfy the needs of the other, but having her own needs suppressed. There is also a reason for why I was doing this. And I was doing this well into my 20s, even in the corporate world. You know, what happens is that people like that, they very easily slip into being workaholics because obviously they're the last ones to stay in the office.
Always more to do. And
The boss says, Alena, can you? Of course, I can. Yeah. So I volunteered for everything. My poor husband never saw me, ever. Because I would be constantly at work, or I would be on a business trip, and in between the normal work day or a business trip, there would be a preparation for the business trip. You know what I mean? So I was a perfect workaholic, and I was a people pleaser. I mean, it's a horrible combination, and it took me a huge crisis in my life to realize this. Yeah, I always need to hit the rock bottom in order to realize that.
Yeah, but that's where you actually, like, the bottom is where you can step up from. You know, if you're sinking in a pool, you're not going to make it the way to the top from the middle of the pool. You're going to have to go to the bottom, and then you can sprint up, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So this was part of my dark side for a long time. People would, because it was my ambition, or I was always striving to be liked.
External kind of recognition.
Absolutely.
You didn't like yourself.
No, I hated myself, and that's what you have to. Because I didn't know this, of course, until you start digging deeper and work through it, do therapies, I did a lot of studying of psychology. I took so many training courses. And little by little, I have discovered that I had this mask on. I had like this protected shield that I wanted everyone to see, because I would never bear if I took it off, and they would see the sensitive individual, the person who was so unsure and always had to prove to the others.
The naked emperor.
The what?
The naked emperor.
Yes, absolutely.
The emperor has no clothes.
Absolutely.
We are always afraid of it. We're always afraid that if we show the true us, that people somehow won't like us.
And that's a shame. That's a huge shame. So that was all part of my dark side.
And where did that come from?
So I think the main, it always comes down to your childhood, right? And I think we talked a little bit about this before starting. You know, I remember, even when I was tiny, I must have been 3 years, 4 years, I always felt uneasy about myself. I never had like little friends of the same age group. I could never connect with other children. I would always seek more older kids or adults. I could never connect. I felt really like an alien. I was always, since I have a conscious memory of myself, I was always in my thoughts. And I had deep thoughts. And at the time, I really hated that. But I was always questioning everything. Why are we here? What is God?
How old are you when you're doing this?
I mean, honestly, I like 5, 6. It's
fuck?
crazy.
That's
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
so can you imagine? And my parents were like,
What's wrong with the kid?
What's wrong with the bloody girl, you know? And they didn't know how to deal with me. So I never could find little children to talk to because they would run away, you know, when I would start like talking. I could not connect with my parents because they would find me a little bit too heavy. Like, how do we respond to that? And so their response was, what a stupid question. You're stupid. That dress is stupid. Alena, don't do that. That's stupid. I would hear the word stupid 20 times a day. And so I already felt I was a very, very sensitive little child. I was very introverted. Yeah, I have a very good communication spectrum developed, so I love being with people, but I am an introvert. And now I consider it as my strength. But before, I was, oh my God, there is something seriously wrong with me because I love closing myself in my world. I love thinking these deep thoughts, but no one likes me. Not even my parents like me, and they think that I'm stupid. And so I was so self-conscious. And in addition, my mum. I have a very, very interesting family. My mum is the dominant person in our family, and everyone else in the family was the extension of my mum. Okay? We didn't have separate identities. That's not how she saw us, but we were just an extension
part
of
the
herself.
network or the beehive or whatever, yeah.
Absolutely, including my father. Yeah. So my mum would always make every decision, including, you know, the school that I was going to go to. She would never, ever ask what I wanted, how I felt. And for a sensitive child like that, because the parents, they were never like curious about the child. They would never take my needs into account. I felt completely abandoned. Plus I was feeling alien because I didn't have any other little friends. And then I was receiving this stupid message all the time. I started to absolutely hate myself. And then I had these episodes in my childhood years. I remember this, and this was my little trauma. Okay, I have to say, Almar, that my trauma is nothing in comparison to the traumas that other children can go through.
But it's your
because
trauma.
It is my trauma, and because I was an introvert and I was a very sensitive child, it impacted me a lot. I remember I must have been about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, I don't know. We were going on a ski trip. And we would arrive to this ski cottage, and then people were quickly forming groups in order to get into the rooms for the accommodation.
To organize where to stay.
Yeah, exactly. And I suddenly found myself alone. I didn't have a buddy to be put in a room with. And so there I was. There were groups of 6, groups of 2, so everyone had their buddy. They were put in the accommodation, and there I was on my own. And so they thought, well, hang on. I mean, Alena doesn't fit here. So let's put her in the sick room. So they put me in the sick room.
Wait,
it was like people when they get injured or when they are sick on the skiing holidays, they put them in this.
Yeah.
So they put me in the sick room.
What the fuck? Yeah. And you're 8?
Yeah. And listen, so the fact... look, remember that I was already feeling terrible about myself.
Who was there? Your parents or?
No. Okay. This was a
from school. Okay.
School ski trip.
But there was a teacher there.
There was a teacher. There were several teachers. Okay. So they put me into the sick room. I was there alone, and so I was already feeling terrible about myself. I hated myself, and this was very traumatic. So when I felt really terrible, normally books would be my go-to.
Healing, yeah.
Yes. So I remember this night, I was reading this book from our recommended reading list. Yeah, it was one of these Czech poets, and no one would read that. I did it, and this girl came into my room, and she saw me lying in bed with this book by this Czech poet. She's like, "Alena, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm here reading," and she didn't say anything. She left the room, and her room was the next door room, and the walls were very thin. She opened the door to her room. There were 6 other girls. And she said, "Oh my God, you won't believe this." And she called me, she used my surname. That's kind of, when you want to try to put someone down, you use their surname. So she said, "You would never believe what she's doing. She's lying on the bed and she is reading this, this author. She is such a weirdo." Oh my God. So this was one of my many, many little traumas. And that was almost a total confirmation to myself. Yes, it is true. I am a weirdo. Yeah. There is something terribly wrong with me. No one wants to be with me. No one wants to love me. I am doomed. And I had many little episodes like that. So it's really funny. People develop different strategies in order to cope.
Deal with this, yes.
Yeah, in order to survive.
I wanted to kind of ask you, why are you not in drugs? I mean, the fun drugs, not the meditation drugs.
Yes.
I mean, because, when someone talks about this, they've been called stupid, they've been kind of put down, they're introvert.
Yes.
But they often would seek the wrong crowd to hang out with, where they kind of just get accepted, and that's often smoking hash and doing heroin or something.
Yeah. Fortunately, first of all, don't forget that I've been brought up here in the Czech Republic. And so at that time, access to drugs were non-existent. Plus, I was already at that time very ambitious. I loved learning. I loved studying. And so, and also I had older friends, and they happened to be, fairly okay. Yeah. So I developed a strategy very early on. And my strategy was this. In order to get love, I need to be the best. Or I need to look really good. Or I need to just stand out in some way. My parents kind of reinforced that message, because they would never ask me anything. They would not really care about me at all. But it was very important, my results at school. Alena, you have to have straight A's. Yeah. Then you're going to be, that's going to be or what they really loved was when I was standing out in some way, they would say, have you seen? Everyone looked at you. Yeah.
So what did you...
So, several strategies. I was the best in class, of course. All the teachers loved me. I would be this typical student sitting in the first row, okay? Everyone hated me. Yeah. But the teachers, oh my God, Alena, she is so amazing. So that was one of my strategy. Another strategy, I was... Well, I didn't tell you about my father. My father... So my mother was this dominant type. She was deciding everything. And my father was a bohemian. He was a musician. And he was just in a different world. So both were absent for me. Yeah. My father, you would close him with his piano in a room, and there could be a volcano, going off next to his head. He would not even notice. So both were absent. But I have traits from both. I'm very artistic, I'm very artistic. So very early in my childhood, I was drawn to music and dancing. And I got myself into ballroom dancing. Listen, anyone listening, if you have self-esteem issues, that's the way to go. These girls, they look pretty. They wear shiny dresses. They wear high heels. They smile. They do all these postures, and everyone loves them. So, see, my strategies. I was the best student. I was looking good, and I loved being seen and get that validation. Oh my God, Alena, you're so good. Yeah. And then because I got very, as an introvert and very sensitive person, I was always tuned into people. I could read people very early in my childhood. I could read my mother's reaction, my father's reaction, and I would then adjust my behavior accordingly. See, this is a perfect
But
mixture.
that's a skill also.
Well, nowadays, nowadays, I mean, this is a huge strength that I have, and I use that in my work with people because I know, I can very quickly detect certain tendencies, patterns, or, ways of being that is not conducive to good results for the person. So nowadays, of course, I know that all this is on my side. I use it as my strength. But before, it was my I developed this as my way to survive in the world. I was feeling terrible about myself. I hated myself. And so the way to get love was to be the best, to look really good, to be to be impressive, basically, yeah? And to please the other. My needs were not important. Whatever you say, I will mold and I will adjust my behavior so that you are happy. Doesn't matter how I feel, but I want to make you happy, because if you're happy, you will give me the love that I so desire.
It's not unconditional.
Yes. And can you imagine, I had these strategies well into my 30s.
Yeah, but at least you got out of it then, because to be very honest, because I mean, I've done a lot of, self-reflection, and as we were talking about before we started recording, I can relate to a lot of this, what you're saying. I mean, I wasn't being, broken down, but I was definitely, the middle kid and so I kind of got different attention and more freedom, which I both appreciated, but also it definitely gave me, I was seeking a lot of validation from the outside, and I think it also helped me kind of develop skills. And when I learned this, I kind of started taking responsibility for it. I cannot use, I don't know, my childhood or how I behaved in the past. I can't use that as excuse for what I'm doing today. I need to be responsible for who I am. But it also, as you mentioned, it gives you a certain strength. It gives you the qualities that you actually have. And the main thing is, you're from the dark side, but you're using your stuff from the dark side on the bright side. And you're using it in the right way.
Yes.
And I think I see a lot of people around me, and I know a lot of people where it's so obvious that there are issues that they're carrying with them, and they're repeating the patterns and things and they're not happy. No one is happy. The people around them are not even happy, even if they're trying to make them happy. And I'm always so happy that I stopped. I somehow, okay, there's something here. I need to look into this. I need to figure this out. Because some people, they die with this. They take this with them to the fucking grave.
Yes.
But at least, it's like a second chance.
Totally. And I love helping people discover what it is for them, because then they can convert their dark side or the suppressed side of their personality. Can you imagine? I had to suppress a lot of who I am.
Yeah.
And that is terrible for an individual. If you don't want people to see who you really are, that's terrible. So yes, what you're saying is so right. So very few people are willing to do that work, because it requires some, you really need to open the Pandora box and see all the shit that is happening. Many people find it too scary. Yeah. But then they get their own crisis later in life, and maybe sometimes they figure it out, sometimes they do not, yeah.
But I think there are some people that are not, you can't repair them. I think like a narcissist often has a very, I don't know.
Yeah, for the people who already have like psychological disorder, it's very difficult. It is very, very difficult, and sometimes you're right, it is not repairable unless something so significant happens in that person's life. Something so strong that it makes them reevaluate everything. But yeah, for some people it's not possible.
My favorite narcissist has lost a child and had cancer and 2 other life-threatening health incidents. Hasn't blinked an eye. Doesn't even know that she's a narcissist.
Yes.
Asked me, what does this word even mean? It's crazy.
Yes. I have the same. My favorite narcissist, right? I have the same, yes. Some people just don't. You see, it's very difficult in this world as well. We live such a fast-paced life, and there is so much happening on the outside. And so we put so much focus on the outside world that we sometimes don't go often enough into the inner world, where in order to explore, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Why am I feeling like this? Yeah, because there's always something out there that requires your attention. That is why I find that all these body-mind techniques or mindfulness or meditation so good, because it temporarily gets you away from the outer world to connect with something deep inside you. And that is absolutely awesome. Yeah.
But let's go a little bit, Alena, into because I'm curious about the we were talking earlier about why you went into SHELeads and why you felt the need was there, and I'm just, is it like we have changed the female role a lot, and I have a feeling that it's happened maybe faster than we've been able to kind of, I don't know, learn to adapt with it. And because when we expect a woman to both have a great career, whether it's in management or just whatever, but we also want her still to be a mom. We want her to be a housewife. She has to be sexual. She has to be sensual. Nothing has really changed for men. Like the expectation, of course, it changed a little bit that men are supposed to be having maybe a little bit different role in the relationship, and it is changing. But this is just such a drastic change for the woman, and it just makes me think. For example, here in the Czech Republic, so one of the things that I noticed that was different here than in Scandinavia, both in Denmark and Iceland, and I don't know. I mean, you lived in 5 different countries, so I guess you also see it differently. But there was this enormous social pressure here to have children, for example, and if you didn't take your 3 years maternity leave, then you're a bad mom. And the worst thing is that it's other moms saying it about that mom, or the granny or the mom of that mom is saying it. So it's actually the people that should be supporting you that are kind of going after you. How is this here now? What's your kind of...
Yeah, I guess it will be different for a Czech national or for a person that has been exposed to different cultures and working environments. It is true that the typical Czech woman, she will probably battle still these stereotypes, right? I really believe that the woman should be allowed to make her own choices in life. If she wants to focus on her career and maybe not have kids, that's her choice. If she wants to have a kid but return to work after 1 year, she should have the choice. Yeah, she should make that personal choice. It's just that, yes, she is then facing a lot of backlash, or what is the word? they start calling her names. Hey, you're a bad mom. You're this. You're that. So I think this is very typical still when you move in the Czech national environment. In the international environment, and I remember I work with women who work for, in very international environments. There it's already very different because the company culture, it already supports different values and it wants to give. It praises a woman if the woman has got an ambition and if she wants to be a mom, but also build a good career for herself. The company actually supports that. Yeah, so it's slowly changing, but it is true. Some women, they still have this obstacle. There are certain expectations of her that she has to deal with, and it feels really bad. And you know what? It goes back down to we need to stop, look at our life, and ask ourselves these fundamental questions. What do I want for myself, regardless of what people want from me? What do I want? People find it very difficult to do that. People are, many people are they still feel the pressure of the environment and they let their choices be influenced by that environment. Yeah, but when we really work on that, when we do the inner work, and we know who we are, what type of life we wanna create for ourselves, that helps. And then you need to have really strong boundaries. And if someone doesn't like your choice, that is their business. Yeah. But it's hard. As I please.
It's hard to stand this pressure,
It is really, really hard.
Like you said, like what you were saying, you said they told you were stupid or this looks stupid. You are stupid. Imagine if I don't know, I have friends here, female friends that, I meet them after the weekend and how was your weekend? I met my parents and my grandmother and all they talked about were the grandchildren, My girlfriend's mom, she's Hungarian. The first thing she asked us when she met us together, when are you going to get married? When do the kids come? And we just said, well, never. And it's nonstop. It's like a fucking radio. Turn on these grannies and it's like a fucking radio nonstop.
Yes, but then I'm sure that your girlfriend has got a larger network. It's not only her mom.
No, and exactly. But she moved away from
right.
from where she's Hungarian, so
yes.
she moved away. So that I think, she ran away probably.
Yes.
Because she actually wanted to be able to kind of carve out her own life and her own path.
Yes.
Without having that social pressure,
I think that there are two things that need to happen. You need to work on your own inner toughness and inner confidence. So in order to stand up for who you are and what you want. And on the other hand, you need to accept that, people have their own opinions about your life. And you need to kind of accept that is their business.
Yeah.
They are absolutely free to express how they feel about your life. But that is their business. You can listen to it, but you can still go for your own choice.
And you can't please them all.
You can't please them all. And I think it's really important for us to, have a bunch of friends or contacts that are supportive. Because, people who love us, they will, and they might object our choices, but they will accept our choices. I had this with my parents big time. First, I married a Spaniard. In their eyes, oh my God, Alena, are you bloody mad? He's going to lock you down in the kitchen. You will have 3 kids on your back and will be cooking, the whole day.
How did it go?
They had preconceived ideas about a Spanish husband, right? Well, let me tell you that at the end, we didn't have kids with my ex-husband, but he was the one cooking.
Yeah.
I was the one actually making larger money than him, and he was amazing, very open-minded. He was so supportive of my own development and of my own career. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. So at the end, my parents came to absolutely adore my husband. Or then when I quit the corporate world, I actually quit everything in my life at that time. And my parents were like, well, I mean, are you crazy, Alena?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yes.
And when I started my own business, they're like, are you crazy? You know, these little entrepreneurs, they never make it, blah, blah, blah. So they were very much criticizing my choices. But you know what? I understand that they criticize my choices because they love me and they care about my well-being, and they don't want me to end up, you know, as a bankrupt old woman being alone. Yeah. So I understand, but it never stopped me from doing what I feel is the best for me. And now my parents see me happy. So they might still object. You know, my parents would be the happiest if they saw me in some big corporation. Yeah, they don't. I have my own activity, but they are happy because they see me happy. So I think that
that's great, because I mean I think a lot of people struggle with this, because to actually accept other people's happiness for what it is, because I have this feeling that this kind of peer pressure or society pressure is very much often evolves around people not wanting to reflect on their own life. So if everyone is doing the same, even if they're unhappy, it must be right because everyone is doing it. So it must be right. So I often have felt like the people that have criticized other people's choices the most are the ones that are most scared of looking in the mirror. They don't want to self-reflect, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
So your parents are, I would say, if they can be happy for you, I think that's great, you know?
Yeah, but it took them time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an evolution on my part and also on their part. But yeah, what you're saying is true. We let ourselves influenced by what we see or by what the society tells us is the way to go. That's why I repeat, the inner work is so important. You need to realize what type of person you are, what attracts you, what kind of life you want to live. What are the consequences of living the type of life that you want to have for yourself? Because there are consequences. Yeah. And if you make these choices from a place of peace rather than pressure, you know, then it's great. And it feels so good.
But I don't know. I mean, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about this kind of self-responsibility, you know, to be responsible for your own happiness and your own well-being and health and all that stuff. And the guy who was talking about it, he said that before COVID came, he was very much on this universal, what's it called? Universal basic income or something like that, you know. Yeah, universal basic income, I think. Like, where people would just be paid some money so that they could go and grow themselves and blah, blah, blah. And then COVID came and we kind of did that. We actually started giving people money for being home, or we started giving companies money so they could keep people at home. And a lot of people in certain industries couldn't go to work, so they were giving money or some benefits. And the guy was saying that actually he changed his mind about thinking that we should give everyone money, because most people just wasted this money. They didn't use it, and they actually don't want to go back to work. They just want to get more money. So they didn't use this money to grow, you know. And I feel like that I want to grow. I want to learn new things. I that's why I'm here, you know. That's why I'm meeting you, because I'm excited about talking to someone new, to hear someone else's point of view. It makes me think. It makes me reevaluate my own values or my opinions and stuff like that. But I just think that so many people they just want to, I don't know, somehow follow, or they just want to be...
Or take the easy route.
Yeah. And they have this expectation that somehow, the government should do this. And I think, for example, when we talk about, you know, let's say feminism or gender equality and female participation in business and politics, like that's where I feel like we talk quotas, we talk about law, we talk about changing the rules so that you, like in Scandinavia now, companies are forced to have women on the board of directors. And that's even if that company would be, I don't know if that exists, like some super male product or male industry or whatever, where actually a female input wouldn't necessarily be helpful even, like, so it's a forced thing instead of saying, so how can we actually rather give those women and those men or whoever is the group that we're talking about, how can we give them the tools and the ability to actually figure out, do they want this? I don't know, would you want to be on the board of directors of a company if you know that you are there just because there's a quota that says you should be there?
Yeah. This issue of quotas is a complicated one, right? I changed my opinion on the quotas like 20 times.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my current view. Yeah.
Okay.
I think quotas were incredibly helpful right at the beginning when we literally had no female representation on the board of directors, in companies, in the society. They were very, very helpful. That was almost the principal tool in order to get that woman in there, because otherwise she wouldn't stand a chance. Yeah, because of all these biases, preconceived ideas, stereotyping, etc. So at the beginning, it was super helpful, and I think that it fulfilled its purpose. Nowadays, again, it depends on the country. Yeah, even when you look at the countries of the European Union, the situation is slightly different. In some countries, the representation of women in the society is already pretty high. Yeah. In some countries, not so much. But what I'm thinking now, quotas, the need for quotas has expired in my view. And now, yes, quotas could have this effect on some people, that you have the feeling that you got the position just because you were a woman, or just because you were a representative of the LGBTQ community. Yeah, because now with this diversity and inclusion, we're starting these initiatives as well. So I think that at the beginning, the quota makes sense, because you really, let me see how I express this. It's really important that people of different races, of different genders, of different preferences, they see themselves represented. Yeah, because that, if you see something, if you see that someone who you identify with has made it, it kind of
empowers you. Yeah,
it empowers you, right?
I can see that.
So that's why I'm saying that the quotas, right at the beginning of the initiatives, they're really powerful. But now I don't think we need them anymore, because there is enough, at least when it comes to men and female representation. Yeah, depends on the country, but I think we don't need them anymore.
But I think like now, you gave me a different angle on this with the quotas, that it can be an inspiration for others when they see that somebody else made it there and something like that. But I think that's actually a very good argument for having something like that. But on the other hand, what I find now is that in my mind, well, it's not even in my mind, it's just by all data and statistics, the world is a better place now than it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, whatever. There are fewer people dying, there are fewer people starving, there are fewer natural disasters, there are fewer wars. I mean, it's silly to say that now while there is a war, but there are fewer wars, or fewer people dying from wars, let's say, than, because the world has always been a war zone. It's just that we were born in a peaceful time, and so we just kind of think, this is how it should be. No, it's actually that this is the exception, to have 70, 80 years of peace in Europe is just like, it's weird. So everything is good, women are being more participant, literacy is going up, fewer children die at birth. I mean, except in some third world countries like in the US where they have huge infant death, but I don't know. And it's so interesting though that I feel that the angle that is being taken in kind of public discussion is that everything is going to hell. Everything is horrible. And that kind of takes me also to those kind of minority groups in a way that if I would be an alien and I would visit now Earth and I would go into, I don't know, some social media or something and I would look at what is being talked about and then I would go to the press, then I would think that this is a bunch of people out here that are kicking down trans people on the street and killing them. That's what we do for a living. Or, I don't know, or that we systematically lock women in the basement, or that there is some club called the Patriarch that is somewhere. I feel that a lot of those things that are actually, by data and statistics, improving and so on, are being amplified. And because they are being amplified, it's so easy to say, I'm not responsible. It's a big problem. The government needs to do something. We need rules. We need to have more government. We need to have more people telling us how to behave, how to be, what to do. And I think, unfortunately, I think that we will wake up one day in a place that we don't necessarily want to be, because we gave up a lot of our independent thought, our critical thinking, and our responsibility for ourselves, our health, our mental well-being, our career, and we said, let's give it to the government, or let's give it to Google or whatever, you know.
Wow, there's a lot of different ideas in what you just said, right?
You want to go home?
No.
This is it.
No.
I mean, it's the dark. This is my dark side.
No, all these ideas are totally valid and worth exploring. The first thing you said is that the media almost tends to focus on what is going wrong rather than what is going right. I often wonder, is this because media, the different channels, they need to make money, right? What sells, Almar?
Not happiness, for sure.
It's just awful when you
But
think
you said
about
it before,
right?
when you're asking those women, what is wrong with you? They come with a 10 minutes pitch, and then when you ask them what's right with you,
yes.
I don't know.
It's horrible, isn't it? I mean, what sells, what people watch, what people desire is they want to see tragedy. They want to see, something thrilling. That is, I think that the media know that when they come with something bad, negative, controversial, they're going to drive a lot of traffic. So I think that this is probably part of the reason, right? That the media is focused primarily on what is going wrong than what is going right. That's why, I exposed to the media minimally. Okay, I give myself a few minutes in the morning just to check what is going on, to not to be totally ignorant, and that's it for me. Because I want to focus. There is so much greatness happening. The life can be really complex and shit happens in life, but life is also beautiful. We need to open our eyes and start seeing all the good things that are happening around us, because there is a lot. But the thing is that, again, it goes back down to what I said. We focus too much on that's not related so much to the idea. But yes, people nowadays, they spend a lot of time on media, whether it is social media or just watching TV. And if this is what they do, then they can very quickly gain the impression that the world is falling apart. And that's not the case.
No.
I mean, I remember when I was traveling, I was in Thailand. It was in 2018. And I don't know if you remember, there were major government protests in Thailand. And there was some... Yes. So I remember I was sitting on this terrace in Thailand. We were having a chat and drink with my friends. You know, everything peaceful. We were having a lot of fun. And I received a phone call from my parents. Oh my God, Alena, are you okay? You know, is everything okay? Because we know we've seen it. And I'm like, what have you seen?
Yeah, you didn't even know.
Happened. You know, it's in Bangkok. Oh my God, get yourself out of there because this is gonna get really bad. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? I am sitting in the heart of Bangkok. Let me check out of the window. Nothing is happening. What are you talking about? And so that is the thing. You know, the media. Okay, there were some protests in a isolated part of the city. Yes, something was happening, but they made it sound and look like
the end of the world.
The whole country is protesting and a war is on the verge of breakout. Yeah. So, yes. So that's one part that I want. One of the ideas that I wanted to address. That is my view. You know, okay, media is good. You know, it's good to be aware, but hey, just live a life. Rather than watch it on TV. Because if you live a life, then you realize that life is pretty bloody amazing. Yeah. Right?
And it happens outside the news. Your life happens outside the news because there is most of the stuff on the news you can't really do anything about, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And then you're exploring other ideas as well, really valid, very interesting. And, you know, it reminds me of all these movements that we've been going through recently. The Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matters. Now we have all the cancel culture, woke, right? All these movements. And I have a feeling, again, this is my personal opinion, but I have a feeling that, again, because media are in the business of business, right? Or companies, they also want to create a certain impression. They want to create a certain perception in the image, in the eyes of the people who buy their stuff. So companies and the media, they kind of, they try to create that message that, yes, you know, we are totally supportive of this movement and this is what we're doing. You know, look how we're supporting Black employees. Look how we are giving opportunities to the LGBTQ community. So it sounds to me that we always jump on this wave, the current wave, and the media try to focus on little things, little situation, little stories that happen related to that wave and highlight it. And so when you then watch it as an independent observer, you get the impression that, you know, it's a really big issue. We are all homophobic, we are all abusing, you know, this and that minority group, but it's not like that.
But that's, I think also now when I listen to you, what is very often missing, and I felt that very much during COVID, because I mean obviously COVID and news about COVID kind of took over our lives for a long time, and they never gave us the perspective. So it's very easy to say 100 people died and you think, oh, that's horrible. But then, like here in this country, 307 people die every single day on average, every day of the year. And it happens to be that those 100 that died, they actually fit into the demography of the people who would be dying when 300 people die. And I feel that this is the case with a lot of incidents like this, that, for example, if you look at murders or police crime or police brutality, we never hear about the other cases. We only hear about the ones that affect a certain minority, not the other minority. So we are never given anything that gives us a chance to say, okay, is this really a problem? Is it a marginal issue? Is it a mainstream problem? And I had this friend who lived in China for 3 years or something like that, and we were talking about how, I don't know how it came up, but he told me, like, Yeah, it was in the news in Iceland that, I don't know, like 400 people died in China in some rain, some thunderstorm or something like that. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And I called him, like your mom, to Bangkok, and I'm like, oh, so how is it? And he said, well, it's not even in the news here. I said, what do you mean? Well, there's 1.2 billion people here. So 500 per day is just, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So I feel that we're giving a lot of these kind of information, but just one number, not like, okay, in the context of historically this is a high death rate, or I don't know, women have lower salaries than men, but they actually increased the salaries by 80% versus men in the last 3 years, and they're almost catching up.
Yeah.
It's so easy to pick one number or one thing out and not put it into context of, is it developing, is it a trend, is it high, is it low?
Yes.
And this way, you get your mom to call you in Bangkok.
Yeah.
If she would have known that Bangkok has 20 million people, maybe she would have thought, okay, it's a slim chance that she is there,
Yes. It's like these Twitter tweets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can put something in a Twitter and people don't have the context.
No.
They don't have the comparison. And then if the person doesn't have the critical thinking skill, they can be easily misled, right? And this is a huge problem in this society. We are so polarized, right? And we all love to be right. And we keep going to places that confirm our own truth.
Yes.
Right? I'm talking about this cognitive biases, right? This is something that we need to get out of. We need to challenge our own opinions rather than always subscribe to a particular tribe and only hear the opinions of that particular group, right? It's good to challenge our own shitty beliefs sometimes. But yes, you're totally right. We are exposed to a lot of information, and sometimes that information is condensed. And so if we do not investigate what is behind that particular statement, that particular number, we can be easily misled.
And some people don't want to investigate. I can feel it, like people rather want kind of convenient bullshit than an inconvenient truth.
Yeah, fast information.
Yeah.
Give me fast input, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's where we are heading. I'm really worried about that.
But but on the other hand, the great thing about it, the way that I look at it, I know this sounds arrogant and all that, but I think that it just gives more opportunity to those who actually are willing to do the work of standing out and being different and doing their own thing, because the ones who just kind of walk in a circle somehow, dictated by whatever is on the agenda on that particular day or whatever, and they go through. So first of all, they go through 1 million emotional roller coasters per day, so they get nothing done. So that leaves a chance for people that can get stuff done. They will never go for the opportunities. They because they're just so busy chasing the last breadcrumb that whoever dropped in front of them, and okay, now I need to be me too, now I need to be this, now I need to be that, now I need to go there. They don't have really an identity. It's just a puzzle made up of some external nice feeling things, and then when some of the people that I know that are like this, they actually feel really bad. And they feel guilty. They feel guilty about, I don't know, traveling because it's for the environment, and they feel guilty for this, and they feel guilty. I mean, it's the greatest trick on earth is to make us feel guilty for being human. It's amazing.
I agree.
Because you can get us, then you can tell us, okay, you need to buy this, you need to stop doing that, you need to do this. COVID, we made little kids responsible for killing their grandparents. This is brilliant, this conditioning of this. Because then you're going to be able to tell those kids later, you're kind of killing the environment, or you're kind of doing this, or you kind of, so stay inside for a month. And they're just going to say, yeah, because I remember that I almost killed my granny. This is mass hypnosis in a conditioned way, I know now I sound like some crazy person, but
yeah, I mean, this whole COVID issue is complicated, and honestly, I'm totally not an expert on the issue. In fact,
neither am
I would not want to be in a position of someone who has to take these tough decisions.
No, I agree.
And we can criticize all we want, but I want to truly believe that there were some people with really good intentions. They followed a certain trend. They listened to a certain group of scientists, and they have then made societal recommendations accordingly.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. Making that decision, because if you make the wrong, so you're always going to gravitate to the safer way. You're going to extend that curfew. You're going to extend that mask wearing. You're going to force more vaccinations. You're going to do, because you don't want to be that politician that if we find out, like, I don't know, after 5 years or something, oh shit, we could have stopped it, we didn't. You're going to be fucked.
Yes.
So I do understand that. What my problem was that when we actually started seeing the data and when we started seeing the reality of it, that there are certain risk groups, we never addressed, why are you in a risk group? Go out and exercise, eat healthier, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Number two, when we realized that these vaccines didn't stop the spread and they, and the virus mutates and all that, you couldn't even talk about it. The stuff was being censored, That's where I feel like, okay, if I can't speak my mind, then there is something smelly.
Yes. This is huge. And this makes me think not only about COVID, but about other controversial issues, right? And it also tackles one of the ideas that you have mentioned previously, this freedom of expressing our opinions, freedom of speech, right? I find that this is, it is in danger somewhat. Because no one cares about what I say, right? But if you happen to run for a president and you start...
One day you might.
Not me, my dear, not me. So if you run for a president or if you're a very important public figure, you almost need to watch your every word. Because the society will the people... Not everyone, but many people will very quickly condemn you, right? Because your opinions are not aligned with what is perceived as acceptable.
But how is that for you? Because I'm curious about you because in your business in SHELeads, you're dealing with and training and coaching top executives in companies, bigger companies and stuff like that. And now, because you mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of this social responsibility on the agenda in businesses. I personally feel, I'm not asking you even to comment on that, but I feel a lot of it is very kind of fake. Because in the end, companies are about making money for the shareholders and bonuses for the management. So, I feel that all of this is so much out there now, and no one really knows where is it gonna go next. Because you mentioned there have been these topics like Black Lives Matter, there's been the woke, there's been Me Too, there's been climate emergency, there's been COVID, stay safe, stay home, wash your hands, whatever. I mean, there's been and it's a moving target. It's never. You can never wake up in the morning as a CEO of a company or even as an individual and think, I'm good. I am good. Because that day there will be something new that you're supposed to fulfill. So it's actually the world is being very narcissistic to us because it's constantly telling us we're not good enough. And then I'm thinking, okay, so someone like you who moves within this world, do you need to censor yourself somehow? Do you know what I mean? Or do you feel that you would have the freedom to go out and, I don't know, say whatever you want? Mm-hmm. Or because I think a lot of people, they self-censor. I do it. I would want to say much more than I say, but I don't. Mm-hmm. Because I know that it would get me like a wave of hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. Look, I mean, Almar, I'm no one. So for me, there is not so much danger if I open my mouth and start talking about controversial topics. Because in addition, I talk to environments that are fairly open, to them, to different opinions. But if honestly, if someone is in a position of huge visibility, that is very difficult. You either, I am a huge fan of communication. I believe that no matter your opinion, if you know how to communicate it without people getting defensive, that's the way to go.
Oh, it's a very good way to see it.
Yes, absolutely. So, because sometimes sometimes someone who's got a very controversial argumentation point, they put it in a way that make the listener immediately
get
defensive,
defensive.
How dare you? Who are you to say this? But if you say it, if you say it from the heart, and if you say it as this is the conclusion that I came to myself based on this and that, I could be wrong, but if you say it in a
more humble way,
that basically this is where you are, you strongly believe in this because this has led you to it, and you're offering the opinion to others. And if you disagree with it, let's have a debate about it.
Or agree to disagree.
Or agree to disagree. But instead of having this debate, no, we try to shut the person up. No, this is totally... How can you even say it out loud? No. And it closes the communication. So I think that each one of us, we should really work on our communication skills so that no matter the opinion, we are able to communicate it in a way that people will be willing to look at it, willing to consider it. And then from the other side, we as listeners to whoever is communicating, we should also have the willingness to see this person's point, because we can always learn from it. We don't necessarily need to agree, but maybe there is something in this person's argumentation point that can expand your own horizon, that can enrich your own point of view. But no, I want to be right, you wrong. Yeah. So we need to get rid of this.
It shouldn't be a competition about this.
Yeah, but we don't get enough of these debates that we bring two parties together. Hey, this is what I stand for, and this is what I stand for. Let's have them communicate, and maybe they come to some kind of consensus. Yeah, this is not happening enough, and that's a shame.
It's I don't know what causes this. I mean, why do we have to? I mean, maybe it's just we want to identify as part of a tribe somehow. We feel the need to belong somewhere.
But also, Almar, listen, I think that going into the unknown can be a hugely scary, anxious-inducing experience to many people. And so they rather stick to what they know, to their opinions, to their rigid way of thinking, because if they divert it, they would see something that might scare them.
Yeah. And that's crazy, to be scared of yourself, to be scared of changing your mind, changing your opinion, changing the way that you live. And that's actually, you're an agent of change. That's actually, now it kind of everything we talked about kind of boils down to this. It's about having the guts or be brave enough to look at yourself and change. And that kind of seems to be, it just came to me now. Straight from your dark side, it came to my head.
Right.
It's all about being brave enough to look inside and then change if you have to.
Yes. And this is maybe where people encounter encounter it. This is why they find it very difficult, because somehow the society wants people to be consistent. Yeah. Okay, so this is who you are. This is what you believe in. This is what you do. And so I want to see you that way in 5 years. You know, this is how I have labeled you in my head in a specific way, and don't dare to deviate from that. That's horrible, because life is a continuous change. We change. I told you that I myself changed my opinions on quotas about 20 times because I'm exposed to new information. I talk to more people. I have the space to reflect on it. So, yeah.
But the catalyst in your change was, you know, you had this crash, you know, but what you did is that you kind of went spiritual in some way, right?
Well,
I mean, you were not just in Bangkok for the protest. You were there for some reasons, right?
I had my first huge crisis when I was about 30. I think I was the age of Christ, 33. So I had my huge crisis in which I was working in the corporate world. I was married. I had this like life that from other people's point of view would seem like, this is a good life.
No one was putting you on a cross.
No one was putting me on a cross. But yeah, from the outside, my life seemed really perfect. And I didn't feel perfect in it at all. I was like, oh my God, is this it? Is this all I can hope for in life? I was working like hell. There were certain things in my job that I really enjoyed, but 70% not really. So to cut the story short, I came to a huge crisis, but also for the reasons that I highlighted to you. I was a workaholic, I was a people pleaser, blah, blah, blah. So I decided, I had a huge crisis. I decided, okay, do I like my life? I totally hate my life. I'm going to start again. And that's what I did. I put a full stop behind everything. My husband, my house, my job, the country, everything. Wow. I packed. It took me, of course, I didn't do that
on a Friday, from Friday to Saturday.
No, but I had this. I have this something in me. It's like an inner compass, and I feel things strongly. And when I had that idea that I should quit and I should just go and travel for a year, you know, it was so strong that I did it. And yes, hang on, that was a long...
So once you make a decision, you go for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I didn't know what I wanted. All I knew was that the life that I created myself, that I thought was the life, it was not the life for me. It was a life designed for me by someone else, by the expectation of someone else. So I quit. And I thought, all right, it's about time that I figure out this thing called life. Like, who am I? What do I want? I had no idea. So I went to travel for a year. And as part of that, I did, you know, as you said, I started to get into the world of meditation. I had some, you know, amazing and freaky experiences. And yes, that also opened me to the spiritual path. Yeah, I'm not religious. I've never been. But I do believe in something bigger than my own power, a higher power, universe, whatever. Yeah.
I think it would be arrogant not to believe in a bigger power because, you know, otherwise we are placing the power in us, you know, somehow. There must be, I mean, you know, I don't know, the sun might decide to switch off tomorrow and we would just all die. So that's our higher power, you know what I mean? The universe or the...
Yes.
But are you, like, when you do this, when you go on this journey, is it like, is it painful? Like when you, I don't know, when you need to self-reflect and meditate and...
So hang on, now you're talking about my experience of meditation?
Yeah, I mean, you put this stop on your life because,
Yes.
as you said, you know what you don't want, but you don't really know what you want.
Mhm.
So you go and look for it,
Yes.
and you travel around the world. You do meditation. You do psychedelics.
Yeah, that was much later in my life, the psychedelics.
That's
I started with
this morning before you arrived.
No. I take it very seriously.
Yeah.
The work with psychedelics, yes. For me, it's a very spiritual experience. I would never take it as a recreational drug.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah, so that came much later. But my trip, that triggered that whole... Well, no. In fact, I started to study psychology, emotional intelligence. That led me to discover parts of myself and brought me to a crisis when I realized, oh my God, this life
that's
is...
the eye opener.
That was the eye opener. And then I quit and I went to travel. And that was another eye opener. And I discovered a lot about myself, things that, those things started to come to surface. Because now I can say that I used to be the perfect people pleaser. When I was doing it, I didn't know I was doing it. Yeah, because I didn't have that self-consciousness. Self-awareness. So my journey was one of the most, if not probably the most amazing thing that I have done in my life. It was totally eye-opening. I have very much connected with the fun part of me, with the flowing part of me. I would wake up every single day of my journey and I would tell myself, oh my God, this is so amazing that if I die today,
I'm good.
I'm good because I lived.
I love that feeling. I have had that feeling for many years.
That's amazing.
It's a great.
Wow, that is such an amazing feeling. Nowadays, I'm super happy. I feel so fulfilled, but I don't have it as strong as like if I died today, I have lived. No, I don't want to die today.
No, I'm not. No, but you don't necessarily want to die. But
I know.
But if it would end, then at least you can look back those 5 seconds you have before somebody shoots you in the head. You know
that I lived.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, these are amazing experiences. I would recommend to everyone to actually disconnect from their typical routine and just do stuff like that. They don't need to take a year like I did. Not everyone has got the possibility, but to do some kind of disconnect and reconnect with your inner self. And in my case, apart from studying, which is really, getting it through my logical and rational brain, I wanted to experience everything on my own skin, in my own body. And so meditation, oh my God, that was amazing. I did the meditation in silence for a month. It was no words.
A month?
Yes, for a month.
Shit.
Yes, shit. And I did it twice. I didn't know. Initially, when you jump into the temple, they don't tell you how long you're going to be in. Yeah, they only find out what is your situation, and they knew that I was a traveler. Yeah, I arrived with a backpack, and so they didn't tell me how long I would be in the process.
Was just there a Wi-Fi?
Bloody hell.
1 month?
1 month.
But wait, so you don't know when you go?
You don't know.
They just decided for you, or?
Well, it depends on your personal situation. Honestly, if you have 2 weeks vacation, you arrive as a tourist, then they know that you have a time constraint. But I told them I have no time constraint because I'm just traveling through Asia. And so how long is this going to be for? Well, we will tell you as you progress. And I would be asking, that would be, you asked whether it's no words. You can only talk the few minutes you have every single day with your master.
Yeah.
That's the only time you can use words. Yeah.
So what do you do then the rest of the day?
You do literally nothing. I mean, nothing apart from meditation. It is crazy. Wow. It is the most crazy. It is the most scary. It is the most difficult thing that I have went through apart from the psychedelics, but the most enriching. Oh my God. I have studied a lot about psychology, emotional intelligence, etc. But I understood things logically. Yeah. But until I went deep inside I realize now that I didn't fully understand. So what you do when you the first day you go slowly. I started with Vipassana meditation, which is Buddhist type of meditation. Yeah. But you don't need to be a Buddhist in order to do that. Do you know Vipassana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm horrible. When my girlfriend turns on this meditation stuff, I just fall asleep in 10 seconds.
I see.
And she said, yeah, you're supposed to get inner peace. And I said, yeah, but that's my peace. Sleeping, you know?
Yes, that's so funny. Anyway, so they would take you through they would show you a series of exercises that you have to do. There is a sitting meditation involved, walking meditation, and there is something else that you have to do. And you do it in sets, okay? You start with a set, you do a set of 5 minutes each thing. So 5 minutes sitting, 5 minutes walking meditation, 5 minutes something else that you have to do. Then you have a break for 5 minutes and you start again and again. And again. The next day you come to see your master. How are you doing? Blah, what is your questions? 10 minutes. 10 minutes sitting, 10 minutes walking, 10 minutes, whatever. And you do it the whole day, well into the night. And then you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and off you go again. And they are increasing the amount of minutes.
And you went in there on your own free will?
Yes.
Okay.
I know, I'm a little bit crazy. But I heard about it from someone who did it, and I trusted this person, and I thought, well, I will give it a go. So you progress, and listen to this, until you get to 60 minutes. Meaning 60 minutes sitting, 60 minutes walking, and then something else that you have to do. There is a specific word for it, and I can't remember. You have maybe a 5-minute break, or maybe you go for lunch. It's a very, very tiny lunch, very mindful lunch, and then you do it again. So not only the 60 minutes is the longest you can do. So not only you progress in terms of time, but you progress in terms of amount of hours that you meditate. Towards the end, you go on through the night. I have a feeling that it is designed to bring you to insanity, because that's what it does.
Yeah.
Because you start, there is so much happening inside. All of if you have any little traumas, all of the little issues that you have, they start to come to surface, and you need to deal with it. Yeah, through the meditative process. It's crazy. And listen, if there is something such a past life, we don't know, right? I had incredible things happening during my meditative experience that made me think that I also have some bad karma. I did something absolutely terrible in my past lives, because incredible things are happening every time. Like on the last week of my month, my teacher didn't know what to do with me. Because I would bleed, from my mouth. I would get incredibly strong physical sensations, and I was convinced that someone was going to kill me every time I would close my eyes and get deep into my meditation. Paranoia. And so my teacher would sometimes sit throughout the night with me. He did like special rituals to get rid of the negative demons, whatever. I mean, who knows whether there is something like that. But anyway, so it was an extremely hard process. And when you're on your last 2 days, for me, things started to change. It was as if I overcame the demons and I started to connect with something. And I don't know how to call it, but it feels to me that I connected not only with my deep self, but I connected to that powerful thing. I had very powerful visualizations. It was very somatic as well. I felt it in my body. It was absolutely crazy. And I finished my month and I felt like a different person.
Mm.
And even physically and physiologically, I felt different. You get this beautiful skin, beautiful hair, beautiful, like your body rejuvenates, your eyesight rejuvenates. And I will never forget. It was during the whole 1 month, you cannot do anything else than meditate, meaning writing a journal, prohibited. Like communicating with the outside world, reading a book, you cannot do anything. You can brush your teeth, eat, and meditate. That's it, okay? That's why it's driving you to insanity, because we are so used to connecting always to the outside world.
Yeah, we are non-stop doing something.
And after the meditation, that was amazing, because I took a book and I was reading the lines, and it was as if, you know, sometimes when, I don't know if that happens to you, when I read, sometimes my mind is not entirely on the text and I need to read it twice in order to understand.
Yeah.
So I read this page and it was like...
It came into you.
And I had like instant clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It was huge. And since then, I mean, I was doing Vipassana for about 3 years, but Vipassana is a little bit impractical for normal life, for daily life, because of the sitting and walking. It's not something that you can do in a metro, right? So I changed to Vedic meditation. I have a magnificent Australian teacher, and I've been doing Vedic meditation for the past 3 years, and I love it. And you can do it anywhere, and...
It's a mobile.
Yeah, meditation is one of the things that profoundly changed me. Profoundly.
But how do you? I mean, like we're kind of coming to the end of this, but I'm curious how. Because now, can you fix the microphone a little bit towards you, like this way? Yeah. So, because we're talking about two very different worlds in some sense. We're talking about corporate leadership, people that need to be rational, and of course that rationality needs to stand on a firm ground of self-awareness and self-consciousness. But how can you bring this spiritual part into it? I mean, do you bring that into assisting the person with self-recognition, and then you kind of that's where the spiritual part ends, or is your whole thing spiritual somehow? Do you get what I mean?
No, my program is not spiritual at all. However, I always bring mind and body techniques as ways to help the person get in touch with themselves and to find inner peace and to be grounded, to feel grounded. In fact, I often talk to my group about meditation, and most of my group members, they were so encouraged that they started to meditate and they get it. So even a person who is not religious or not spiritual and doesn't believe any of that stuff, they find huge benefits in meditating. Because, you know, as a leader, as a manager, you're constantly facing very difficult situations, or you're dealing with very difficult people. It's very important that you take the decisions from a state of peace and calm. And this is something that meditation helps you do. For people doing meditation for a long time, generally their level of anxiety lowers.
The base level is
the base level, and they are able to. It makes them much more resilient, and much more centered, focused, so you can deal much better with a high-pressured environment without getting completely thrown out, because that is what happens. Many people in serious positions, they have to take tough decisions, they have to face tough shit at work, and they do it because, you know, they are so empowered in the workplace, but then they come back home and they are completely collapsed because it takes too much of their energy. But when you get used to body and mind techniques, meditation, mindfulness, yoga, etc., it really helps you to develop a very powerful inner resource. It's amazing.
I'm just kind of curious. Could you take me like a short example of, let's say, a stereotypical story of someone where you would come to? Let's say that I'm a woman and I'm struggling. I'm struggling as a woman now.
You're struggling with what?
No, so let's
me.
say that I'm a leader in a company, or I'm a female leader in a company, and then just give me kind of an understanding of how. So, what happens? What's your kind of process without too much detail, but just kind of roughly so that people the listeners can understand. Okay, so yeah,
okay,
I get it.
Good. So, first, every single participant of my program, they reflect on what they want to work on. What are their goals in their professional or personal life? And what are the obstacles they feel or the issues that they're facing that make it difficult to reach those goals, right? So we set certain goals for ourselves at the beginning of the program. Each person has got different goals. I have ladies who, listen, Alena, when I have to speak in front of a group, my voice shakes and I'm all kind of, shaky. And so my message is not strong enough. So some people really want to work on their public speaking ability. Some people, many, in fact, vast majority, they want to work on their influence. That stuff that I was talking about previously. Like, I don't feel they're taking me seriously enough. I don't have the influence that I would like to have on the boss or on my team members. So a lot of people, they want influence. Yeah. And a lot of people want that healthy self-confidence, because we women, we are master self-doubters. We suffer a lot from the imposter syndrome, much more than guys. Guys, of course, do as well, but we have it much more. So these would be typical objectives. Anyway, so we would start with that. And through the program, I basically guide the people like through a journey, and the journey starts with themselves. So regardless of the goal and objective, we look at what's your personality? What are your traits? We do a lot of analysis. Where are your innate talents? How well are you using them? What are the strengths? And then, as I told you, we explore the dark side of the personality. It's called the shadow. Yeah, and so we are starting helping the woman gain self-awareness, which is foundation of self-confidence. Yeah, so a lot of self-awareness. We trigger a lot of processes that go on for months, and then we start helping them develop the leadership skills I was telling you about, depending on where their focus is, but also other skills which are typically needed for
that position.
Position. Yeah. Sometimes they don't have them defined as a goal, but they typically relate to their work environment. Yeah. So in parallel to that process, we start helping them develop these kind of skills. Then there is a module of the human being, like, so what do you want in life? What is important? What do you stand for? What are your values? What's next for you? So we define the different aspects of this person's life. Where is the current focus, and what is it they would imagine for themselves? So we do a lot of purpose work, mission, purpose, vision for life, not only for work.
So you basically kind of decompose everything, and you really go down to the basic level of who the person is, and then, okay, what are the aspirations? What's stopping you? What do you need to improve? And so I guess it's kind of like, it's not a one-size-fits-all program in a way. You work very individually with each person.
Yes, there are certain things that we do in groups.
Mm.
There are other things that they do themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They have a video course that they go through, and they have a lot of assignments. They are obviously very individual, and then they do have private coaching with me when we really dive into their private stuff that they might not want to mention
In
as
public,
part
in a
of
bigger group, yeah.
Yeah, usually the group, the ladies, they know each other, they trust each other, and so people open up on all sorts of issues, and it's wonderful to see. But yeah, there are some issues that they do only with me. Yeah, and then depending on the individual's needs, objectives, and what I see needs to be pointed out, reinforced or diminished or whatever, then we work on that.
It's interesting what you're saying, that you get them to share in the group, because I remember when I moved to Denmark, I got this big job in Denmark, running an airline there when I was, 31 or something, 32. And I remember when I was going there the first day that I was going to the office, I somehow had this idea, because Iceland is 350,000 people, Denmark is 5-6 million people, and I thought, okay, yeah, wow, they must be so perfect there. They must be so much better than we are, it's impossible that I can do anything here and blah, blah, blah. I mean, eventually the company went bankrupt, so it was obviously that I couldn't do anything. But anyway, and then, I met the people, and, they were just humans, they had their problems like me, they had family issues, or they had issues with their wives and husbands or whatever, and once you kind of got to know those things about them, then you realized, wow, okay, there is no such thing as perfect. There is no one who walks this earth or has a position or a job or a role or a title or whatever people do in life that has no issues. It just doesn't exist. And for me, this is really powerful to know this, because it means that my imperfections are never going to kill me. They're never going to make me incapable of doing what I want to do. And knowing that others have them as well makes it like, yeah, okay, well, we're all, 10 toes, 10 fingers, 2 ears, whatever,
Yes, this is so important what you're saying. We need to feel that it's not only us experiencing some shit. People I work from junior, mid to top managers. Sometimes they literally have no people around them whom they can share issues with, because you're not going to be talking about your shit to your team member, will you? So that's why it's so important, and the people find it so valuable to be part of the community. They express their issue. They hear other people expressing their issues, and they're like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And there is nothing wrong with me, because I can see this one having the same, this one, yeah. And also I very much kind of promote the idea that none of us is perfect. And you should not even strive for perfection, because that will only frustrate you. Yeah,
because you can never reach it. Yeah,
we celebrate our imperfections. There is a certain level of beauty in your imperfection, and when you learn that you don't need to hide your imperfection, oh my God, what a liberation! I help people do something that I have done myself, like peel layers of their personality. These shields that we have.
The onion.
Because the onion, yeah, to reveal the core. Oh my God, there is freedom in that.
Yeah, it is.
It's amazing.
It is. But it's interesting. Actually, you said one thing now that I often thought about when it comes to businesses and management, and because you said, you don't want to share with your team your inner fears or your imperfections or the issues that you're dealing with. And I mean, I agree, but I also often think about it. why not? Why, do you know what I mean? Like, and now I'm just talking in general, kind of in corporate and company culture, you know, like, wouldn't it actually often be better if we were just really true, like in everything? And I mean, I know it would be uncomfortable. Like, I know that would be, I don't know, like, you don't want to have a colleague that, or your boss that, oh, I have such a bad diarrhea today, you know, like, it's not like, you know, it's not something that you, but,
Yes.
and I don't think we will ever
Yes.
get there, you know, like.
Yes. I see what you mean. Look, when I say that sometimes you've got issues that you don't want to talk with your team members, they might be strategic issues. You know, there's downsizing going on. What are you going to do? There's a
fire
vision.
people, or,
you know, there are certain sensitive issues that you don't want to share with your team members. Okay,
that's true.
but on what you said, it's all about having the willingness to be vulnerable. It's okay if you come to the office, you go to a meeting, something happened to you. I don't know, maybe your mother is in a hospital. It's okay to say, guys, today I'm afraid you're not going to get the best out of me because I feel so low. My mom is in the hospital. It's that creates a lot of connection with your team members. They see you as a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, you know, the same you can say about your own faults. Like, you know, if you see a team member absolutely shining in something that you are really shit in, you can actually say, you can comment on that and you can say, oh my God, this is something that I can't do. And again, they see you, wow, she's not trying to play the perfect individual, but she's just
allowing others to shine along.
Plus that, being vulnerable and allowing others to shine. Absolutely.
This is really interesting, Alena. I mean, we've talked now for 2 hours. I think I could talk with you. I think I just need to bring you on again, and we can talk more about the dark side and the psychedelics and all that stuff. I feel we have more stuff there as well, you know. And so what's just where can people check up on you more? You have alenahuberova.com, right?
Yeah, that's my website.
Because you're working internationally. I mean,
yes.
You do.
My group is international. Yeah, I do everything in English. So alenahuberova.com.
I'll put the link in the episode description as well.
Yeah, fabulous. So that's where the core of the information is. I do have social media, but it's not great. I do have Instagram. Yeah, I have a good LinkedIn. I use as my main kind of communication platform. So LinkedIn is a good way to find me just by my name. I do have Instagram and Facebook. Well, you know, are not great, but I do the job. Yeah.
Okay, I will put those links in the episode description. You're not on TikTok. What's wrong with you?
You know, listen, if I should be on all the platforms,
you wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do my job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely need some
a social
help.
media manager.
Yes.
We need to give Alena some help, guys. Thanks for watching, listening. I don't know. Maybe this episode's gonna be on video as well, but at least we are recording it on video. We need to, kind of wave to people there and say thank you. And at least it's definitely in audio. So if you're listening to this, then you are listening, right? Thanks. Great to have you. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.